started here with the Big Ideas pre-proposal judge training for the 2015-2016 contest year. So hello everyone, thank you for those of you tuning in live, and for those of you watching the recording later on, hello as well. A very special hello to our returning judges this year. Thank you so much for continuing to support Big Ideas, and a very warm welcome as well to our new judges. It's a pleasure to have you on board and as part of the Big Ideas Network. If we haven't yet met in person, my name is Alix Charles. I'm one of the coordinators here for the Big Ideas competition. And specifically, I recruit and manage our network of judges and mentors for the contest. So I'm the one that you've been communicating with via email over the last couple of months. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys today, and thank you again for tuning in or for watching the recording later on. So a couple of logistical issues to bring up before we get started. If you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to ask them using our Q&A portion of that webpage. If you can't find that for any reason, feel free to email your questions at bigideas@berkeley.edu. And for those of you watching the recording later on, you can also feel free to email your questions. We have a team member here monitoring that question feed live, and I will answer all of the questions at the end of the presentation. So as people start rolling in to view the presentation, I'm going to get started and share my screen with you guys and walk you through my presentation of the judges training. So again, thank you for being here. Okay. All right, so let's get started. So first, a quick overview of Big Ideas. It was launched in 2005 at UC Berkeley, and Big Ideas is an annual innovation contest designed to provide funding, support, and encouragement to undergraduate and graduate student teams who have big ideas on how to address the pressing social challenges of our world today. We work with 18 schools in the US, Australia, and Uganda, and the emphasis of the Big Ideas contest, unlike a lot of other innovation competitions, is really on the early stage ideation, innovation part of projects. So a lot of these teams is the first time that they're putting their projects on paper, and that's really the focus of Big Ideas. We have 9 categories that students can compete in. The first is art and social change, followed by energy and resource alternatives, financial inclusion, food systems, global health, improving student life, information technology for society, mobiles for reading, and scaling up big ideas. So you can pick out the category that you're judging in from this list over here. A bit more about what Big Ideas does and the type of teams that compete in our competition. So in the past, Big Ideas winners have, for example, engineered water purification systems, assisted with diagnosing malaria in remote villages using mobile technology, created opportunities for students to participate in meaningful service activities on and off campus, developed an interactive online platform for financial literacy for students entering university. So to give you a bit of an idea of the type of real diversity of projects that come out of Big Ideas. To give you a bit more of an idea of this, I'm going to show you this video here. So,
what makes an idea big?
I think what makes an idea big is that it goes outside the normal boundaries.
I think what makes an idea big is its potential for its impact in the community.
It's novel, it's unique, it's challenging, it's exciting.
The Big Ideas program seed funds and encourages student innovation for a better planet.
Undergraduate students are rarely recognized as producing innovative, cutting-edge ideas.
It doesn't take a lot of money. It doesn't take a lot of, it doesn't take a 5-year PhD research project in order to do some of these things.
I heard about the Big Ideas program, and it was brought to our attention as a group, and we thought, hey, this would be a really great opportunity to kind of get the word out about our projects and see if we could get some support.
And it ends up being much more than a grant because it gives you that confidence to go forward. The fact that there's other people in the room and other people at Cal that are reviewing this and thinking, hey, you should go for this.
Having it was like one of the best things for our project. It really got us off the ground at a point where we needed that extra inspiration.
Yeah, knowing that the campus is supporting projects like this and that you have access to these resources has been very instrumental.
Just the fact that Big Ideas existed and seemed willing to fund a project like this gave us hope, because our budget for dental is actually like under $200 a semester. And we saved the residents of Berkeley like probably $50,000 to $100,000 just through the services we have.
Capitalize on the creativity of the students. Don't tell them the solution. Give them the opportunity and let them come up with creative ideas.
We should disabuse ourselves of the idea that all smarts are with the professors. Students are just as smart, they're just younger, that's all.
We created a business plan for Big Ideas. So it really gave us that push to really follow through on this and give up our investment banking and consulting offers that we had. And as soon as we got the news that we had gotten the grant, I think that's the first time we said, hey, let's give up what we're doing and let's follow our passion.
The power of the small grant is that it allows students to experiment earlier in their lives. They don't need to wait to complete a PhD and get a faculty appointment to try something new. I think that's very important. Otherwise, we waste a whole kind of generation just waiting for the credentials to do something they have some capacity to do earlier.
What makes an idea big?
I think what makes an idea big is that it goes outside the normal boundaries and it really kind of surpasses what was already there and sets a precedent for something new.
So this video showed you a bit about the type of diverse projects that Big Ideas works with every year, really ranging from work being done in local communities to projects with a global scope, from social enterprises to nonprofits, really a very wide diversity. And the contest really would not be possible without the support of our judges. We really couldn't do this without you guys each year. Judges help us identify ideas that are the most promising. The most important is the judging feedback that teams receive. We're continuously told by teams that that's one of the most valuable resources of being part of the Big Ideas contest. And the pre-proposal round of the contest really is where we get the widest variety, both in scope and in quality of the proposals. So you can expect some proposals that will just wow you and some that might perhaps fall a bit short. But the goal of Big Ideas is really to encourage students to get out there and do some exploring of their ideas and really put their ideas on paper for the first time. So if you join us in the spring as a full proposal judge, you'll likely see a higher quality of proposals than in this first round. So a quick overview of the contest itself. It's a year-long competition, and the first stage is, of course, our pre-proposal phase that takes place in the first semester of the school year here. So the contest first launched on September 8th. And for the last couple of months, teams have been working very hard, putting their idea on paper and crafting their 3-page pre-proposal. We received a record-breaking number of proposals yesterday. Over 260 were submitted yesterday by the 12 p.m. noon deadline. And the next phase is then our official judging window, which officially starts on Monday, November 16th. And runs through December 7th. So judging feedback is due no longer than Monday, December 7th. The finalists are then announced in around mid-December, and in January starts the full proposal phase of the contest. So mentors are matched with teams for a 6-week mentorship period at the start of the semester, and students work closely with these mentors to improve their ideas and developed their 10 to 15-page full proposals, which are then due on March 9th. Throughout the second semester as well, there are a number of other opportunities for teams to win additional funding, from our People's Choice Award to our Grand Prize Pitch Day. And the entire year culminates in our Big Ideas Award celebration, which is on May 4th this year or next year. And throughout that semester, so all of these events are open to teams, they're open to sponsors, partners, as well as judges and mentors. So it's a great way to meet teams, it's a great way to meet each other, to meet the Big Ideas team, and just to get more involved in the competition. And throughout both semesters as well, teams have access to a number of different resources from the Big Ideas team, such as advising hours. They can meet one-on-one with Big Ideas advisors, as well as networking events, info sessions, editing workshops for their proposals as well. So a number of different resources that teams have access to through the competition. But like I mentioned, one of the most valuable resources is the feedback they get from the judges on their proposals, both in the pre-proposal stage as well as the full proposal round. So to give you a bit of a sense of the numbers, as I mentioned, we received over 260 pre-proposals yesterday. With your help in this first round, we're going to narrow that down to 3 to 8 finalists selected in each category based on your scores, on your feedback. And then in the next round of our contest, we're going to narrow that down further to 2 to 5 winners in each category. So this year we have up to $300,000 to give out to student teams. Teams can be awarded a maximum of $10,000, and on average, teams receive roughly $5,500. As I mentioned, there are other opportunities to win money as well through our People's Choice video contest, as well as our Grand Prize Pitch Day. So lots of exciting opportunities and events for student teams. So let's dig a bit deeper on the actual pre-proposal elements. So the pre-proposal this year is 3 pages long, so judges are not required to read anything further than those 3 pages. This does not include references, but it does include the following elements. The first is, of course, the title. An important thing to note here is that this is how submissions are going to be organized on the judging platform, which I'll run through a bit later in the presentation. So that's one thing to look out for. The next is the problem statement. So this is really teams' opportunity to describe the need that they're addressing. So teams should focus on relevant research, statistics on the issue that they've identified, a clear description of the negative impacts of this problem, and as well as research and statistics on the community or the target population that this problem specifically affects and the market that they're going to be working in. So you should, as a judge, have a really clear idea of what the issue is that they're addressing in order for it to be a quality proposal. Next is existing solutions. So this is more of a landscape review showing that teams have done their research on existing services, programs, interventions, products that have been designed or implemented to address the problem they've identified, as well as a discussion of the gaps that still remain. And so this is really setting the scene for their innovation, for their idea, and really making the case that they've done their research on what is currently out there to address the problem. Moving on is then the proposed innovation. So this is really a summary of the project itself and the project description. So this includes the impact that teams hope to have, as well as a description of why this specific idea or project is different than existing solutions that they've identified in the previous section. In this section, we ask teams to describe briefly the first year of implementation of their project. So we don't ask for anything further than that or any detailed timeline, but we do ask that they show that they've thought through a bit about the implementation of their project. An important note here is that in this first round, the emphasis is really on the innovative aspect and the creativity of the project itself, not so much on the execution of the project. The last section is team bios. This is also included in the 3-page limit. So this is a list of the key project team members, brief biographies of each of them that explains their capability of the team to pursue the innovation of the project. And if the team has not yet found certain members or certain skills that they know that they need in order to carry out the implementation of the project, they should also use this section to show how they plan to recruit that talent. So here, what's really key as a judge to keep in mind is that the team needs to show that they've really identified the skills that they're going to need in order to make this project a feasible project. So an important thing to keep in mind is that we do not ask teams to submit their proposal in a specific structure in terms of these elements. So you'll see that proposals look a lot different in terms of how they're organized, how the sections are labeled, but what's important is that the proposals contain these elements within them. So let's look a bit at the evaluation criteria. As I mentioned, the #1 criteria for this round is the innovation aspect of the idea. So this relates to the extent to which the idea is a novel, innovative, creative way of addressing the problem they've identified. This is worth 40% of the team's final score. Next, for 20%, is the potential for impact. This is really the extent to which the problem is well identified and the extent to which it's going to be addressed by the proposed innovation. For 15% after that is the viability aspect of it. So whether or not the proposed project seems to be feasible in terms of its implementation. Again, keeping in mind that 1-year timeline. And in this specific criteria is also the team's qualifications and their understanding of the market and the community needs. Also for 15% is a category-specific question. So I'll get to this in the portion of the presentation that talks about the judging platform, but each category will have a specific question. For those of you judging in the scaling up category, this question will consider the progress made to date on the team's project with their previous award from last year or previous years. And lastly is the overall quality of the project. That is worth 10%, and that's really the extent to which the proposal is professionally written, persuasive, well organized, and generally a quality proposal of high merit. A good thing to keep in mind is that the platform automatically does this weighting for you. So you'll just answer the multiple choice questions to indicate your score on each of these criteria. And then at the very bottom of the page, you'll see the final score on 100, and it automatically does the weighting for you. And for those of you judging in the final round, you'll see that the criteria in that round is very much flipped on its head, that we focus a lot more on the viability and the implementation side of the project rather than the innovation. So moving on then to the online judging platform. So the instructions for this as well can be found in the judging handbook. So that's uploaded on our judges page, which you can get to at bigideas.berkeley.edu/judges. You can also get to that page by hovering over support on our homepage and clicking on judges. So you'll be able to download that PDF document if you wish to have that with you while you judge. So let's walk through the platform a little bit. On November 16th, you'll receive an email with the login information that you'll need in order to log in to the judging platform. The link to do that is also right here on this slide. It's also on the judging handbook. The email or the username that you'll use to log in is the email that you've been using to communicate with me over the last few months, and you'll be given a password on that email, the email that you'll receive on Monday. So once you log in to the platform, you'll be taken to a page that looks like this. This will include the list of proposals that you've been assigned. So you'll have between 8 to 10 proposals that you've been assigned to. As I mentioned before, these will be organized according to their title. And on the top of the screen there, you see the tab. In this specific example, the judge is judging in the Improving Student Life category. So the tab label up there will be the category that you're judging in. So if for any reason you think that's way off, please send us an email if you think there's been a mistake or anything. So you'll have 8 to 10 proposals on this page. For categories that have received less than 10 proposals, we'll ask the judges to review all of the proposals in the category. And another thing to keep in mind is that aside from the 10 proposals, the 8 to 10 proposals that you'll view here, you'll also receive a list of 150-word summaries of all of the proposals that have been submitted in your category for you to have a general idea of what type of ideas were submitted as part of your category. So once you're ready to start reviewing, you'll click on one of the green review buttons next to one of these proposals, and it'll take you to this page, which will give you, the first tab here is an overview of the project. So under the title of the project, you'll have a 50-word elevator pitch of the project, as well as the 150-word summary of the proposal. So that is really important to read through because a lot of the content will not be repeated in the 3-page proposal. So we really do stress that you read through this first section thoroughly in order to get a bit of an idea of what the proposal will include. Once you're ready to read the 3-page proposal, you'll click on the pre-proposal tab and you'll be taken to this page. So here you can print or save the file for your reference and just read through it very carefully. The other thing to keep in mind is that this specific proposal, or the proposal here, will also be at the very bottom of your scorecard page, which I'll get to next. So you don't necessarily have to print it if you don't want to, because it'll also be on that next page. But here is a chance for you to really read through it in detail. Once you're ready to add your review, you'll click on the Add Review button here at the top, and you'll be taken to this page. So here you'll be able to give the qualitative feedback that we value so much from you guys, and also give your scores through multiple choice questions for each of the criteria. The first thing you'll do, however, is agree to our privacy policy. So this is really important. We really stress the confidentiality of the 3-page proposals. So we really ask that you read through this privacy policy and agree to it before moving on. The next thing to do is to select the category that you're judging in. So this is also really important because it will automatically generate the category-specific question at the end of your scorecard. And what you should really make sure to do is that this category, the choice that you select, matches the tab label at the top of the page to make sure that you're judging in the right category, you're selecting the category that you're in fact judging in this section. And you're ready to start reviewing. So you'll notice that the review scorecard, as I mentioned, includes multiple choice questions. That is the score that you'll be giving proposals, but most importantly is the opportunity for you to provide detailed qualitative feedback. We don't have a maximum length of this feedback. You can really be as detailed as you can, as detailed as you feel. And as I mentioned, this feedback is really one of the most valuable resources that teams receive for the competition. So again, thank you so much for taking the time to be as detailed as possible so that these teams have as much guidance as possible to ensure that their project is a success, whether in Big Ideas contests or further beyond that. So again, make sure the category tab matches the tab above. When you're done and you're ready to submit, or if you want to save the draft and return to it later, you can do so at the bottom of the page. So here in this screenshot, you see the overall quality score. That's left blank because it's a test page, but as you select your scores from the drop-down menu or multiple choice questions above, it will automatically populate the overall score out of 100 at the bottom of the page there. So at this point here, you can click on Save Draft if you want to return to it later, or if you're ready to submit, you can click submit. If you do submit, you can always go back and edit your feedback as well. Until the judging deadline. So until December 7th, you'll be able to go back and edit any and all of your feedback, even after you've submitted your response. So when you are ready to submit, go ahead and click submit, and you'll be taken back to the page with the list of proposals. You'll notice that the ones that you've submitted your feedback to have changed to red and it says done, versus the ones that haven't yet been reviewed will still have the green review button. Okay, so that's about it for the judging platform. Other notes to keep in mind: if you come across student names or specific projects that you know and you feel that there might be a conflict of interest there, please let us know and we can reassign you to new proposals. If you want to reach out to students, if there's specific projects that have really sparked your interest and you really want to take that conversation further, please just let us know and we'll contact the student and put you in touch accordingly. Also keep in mind the 3-page limit, so you're not at all required to consider anything beyond that. Again, the references do not count in that word limit, in that page limit. And finally, a lot of you have already committed to return as full proposal judges, and thank you so much for that, as well as to be added to our mentor pool. So again, if you really enjoyed judging in this first round and want to join us again as a judge in the full proposal round, you're more than welcome to do that. And again, we'd love to welcome you to all of our events. A lot of you must have received our invitation to our Innovators at Cal event earlier this semester, which was a very great time. And next semester, we have, as I mentioned, a number of events as well for you to meet each other, for you to meet the Big Ideas team, and for you to meet the teams that are competing in the contest. So if you have any questions, again, you can feel free to email at bigideas@berkeley.edu or give a call to the Big Ideas office at 510-666-9210. And thank you so much. So this concludes the presentation part of the training. And now I will move on to the question and answer period. So hello again. And joining me here is Philip Denny. Philip is the contest manager, and we're going to answer a few questions that have come up.
Okay, well, thanks, Alix, for that wonderful presentation. And thank you, judges, once again, on behalf of the Big Ideas team. Without the judges, none of this would be possible, and we sincerely mean that. We thank you for your time, we thank you for your effort, and we look forward to talking to you throughout the review process, and please email us if you have any questions during that process. And also thank you very much for the questions that you sent to us over the past 30 minutes. I will bounce some of these questions off you now, JC. Alix, I'm sorry. How does Big Ideas define innovation?
Yeah, so innovation is defined by Big Ideas either as a project that is brand new in terms of addressing a specific problem, or a project that uses a current solution in a new and innovative way. Yeah.
Okay,
Does that
perfect.
answer the question? Okay,
Okay.
good.
And then here's another question that we received. What is the profile of a typical judge? And you answered this to some degree, but will there be other opportunities for judges to interact with one another?
Yeah, so there really is no typical judge. We recruit from a wide variety of industry leaders and professionals. What we look for is expertise in one of the fields that's relevant to one of our 9 categories, and really passion for helping student innovation and supporting student teams in this contest. So there's really no cookie cutter typical Big Ideas judge, but we do see a trend within our judges, which is expertise, field experience, and passion for innovation and for supporting teams.
Perfect.
And in terms of opportunities to meet each other, as I mentioned, the Big Ideas Grand Prize Pitch Day next semester is one of those opportunities, as well as our People's Choice Video Contest as well. So a number of different networking events.
Okay. Another question was, what is the percentage of graduate versus undergraduate student projects, and how does the contest balance the level of experience among these students? And I can probably answer that one. So the contest is split pretty evenly now between graduate and undergraduate students. It's about 50% graduate students and 50% undergraduate students, as far as the metrics go for last year. The one way we try and balance that through the Big Ideas Contest is by focusing a lot of the pre-proposal on innovation. We believe that students across, graduate and undergraduate populations can be as innovative as one another. So that first round of the Big Ideas Contest is focused on innovation to try and level that playing field, to try and bring out the best ideas, the newest ideas, and let those ideas shine. And then the process of Big Ideas is to work with those projects throughout the course of the semester by offering workshops, writing workshops, budgeting workshops, judge and mentorship opportunities, feedback from the judges, of course, advising from our student advisors, and just work with these teams to help them harness that idea into an actionable plan. So the process of Big Ideas sort of levels the playing field up front and then works with those teams throughout the course of the academic year to try and hone those projects into viable proposals. And the last question that I have at the moment is award amounts. How much can teams win? What is the average award that teams win?
Yeah, so as I briefly mentioned, so we have up to $300,000 to give out this year. Teams can compete for up to $10,000, and on average, they receive roughly $5,500 is our average award amount. So up to $10,000, yeah, roughly $5,500.
And then one more question is, why does Big Ideas only ask for details on the projects in the first year?
Yeah, that's
Would you like me to answer that one?
Go ahead.
So the reason for that is Big Ideas awards are small prizes to teams, usually in that $5,000 range on average, and we are realistic about how far that $5,000 will go. So we want teams to begin to think about how they're going to launch this, how they're going to get this project off the ground with that level of resources to a large degree. So teams begin to work with that, and then through the course of that semester, I think, and more towards the final proposal, we begin to have them think a little bit more long-term about how, after that first year, they can build more scale and more sustainability into their projects. So for this part of the pre-proposal process, we really want teams to focus on just getting their idea sort of out of their heads onto paper and thinking about that first year of implementation and not going too far beyond that because, as the Big Ideas cycle progresses, as teams work with us and work on their projects with their mentors, that plan becomes more scalable and more viable.
Yeah, and another thing to keep in mind about the awards as well is that they're not grants. They're very much just prize awards for having had an innovative idea, for having had a great idea on how to address a challenge. So there are no strings attached, no ROI metrics to keep in mind or anything like that. It really is just a prize award.
But to that point, one thing I would say is that the teams we see that win Big Ideas awards, and we surveyed the teams from about 2 years ago, and 27 of the 28 teams that we gave awards to were still working on their project. What we see is students who work on their projects throughout the academic year become more vested, the passion rises to the top, and the students who typically end up winning Big Ideas awards do go through with their project in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So that's all the questions we have. So if you just want to wrap up.
I think so. Okay. Well, if you have any other questions, feel free to, again, shoot us an email, bigideas@berkeley.edu. And I look forward to working with you all over the next few weeks throughout this judging process and to welcoming a lot of you guys as well next semester as full proposal judges or mentors. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much to those of you who are watching this recording later, and looking forward to being in touch. Thank you again for being on board and for your support and dedication. This contest really would not be possible without you all. Have a great rest of your day and a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.